Well, first of all, thank you for having us back again. And there's a lot that's been going on since we were here last. And so much of it is just laying the groundwork for what will come. So within the county, and I think most of you can be sympathetic to this. As far as waiting on, we have EDA grant funding, so waiting on things to be approved so we can do certain things. It's a long time, much longer than I've ever experienced. Most recently, we put an RFP together, took a while for a wireless provider. Now, we had done this 2 years ago and awarded the bid. But once we got the grant funding, we had to redo it all over again. And not only did we have to do that, but I think we submitted that in May. And we just got the okay to go ahead and do it. So it took an extraordinary amount of time to get it. So I mean, that's frustrating in itself. So we've gotten past that. RFP is out. Archtop, our fiber partner, and the exciting part about this differs from Spectrum, which some of you may be familiar with. Archtop fiber is fiber to the home. So you'll actually have a fiber optic cable inside your home. Now, Archtop is a startup, brand new company, and they're starting from scratch. And they have headquarters in Kingston, and they've been very aggressive. There have been press releases out there in the last few months. They're buying a lot of inventory, feet of fiber. So they're getting ready. But some of the things that they're dealing with, the biggest obstacle is pole permitting. And I think we had a quick meeting with them today, and I believe over probably a year. So this is we're all, the foundation is being laid, we're meeting, but there's certain things, bless you, that are just blowing things up. But irregardless, that's the system. I know at the state level, they're trying to do some things so they can speed that process along. And recently there was a press release about micro trenching, which is a technology that they're looking to use in a lot of the areas. It's pretty neat stuff. Literally about the size of my finger is the width of the hole, and they go down up to 24 inches, and they just literally slice near the white line on the road, and everything's done all at once. Fiber gets laid, it's in conduit, it's filled, and it's pretty neat to watch. So that will be helpful to them in certain areas when you start rolling things out. It can be a lot faster than trying to get pole permits. So our shop is doing their thing, working with who they have to work with, expedite the pole permitting, and so on and so forth. They have been very aggressive. They've bought a few combos, Hancock telephones. I'm sure some of you here know about Hancock telephone. Warwick Valley telephone they bought. GTEL, which is Germantown over in Columbia County on the other side of the river. So they've been very aggressive getting things in place to start this rollout. And they've been a fantastic partner. We've been meeting with them regularly for about the last year, and monthly meetings, just getting things lined up. And so right now, 2024, as we go moving through 2024, it looks like a very important year for our stop and for Sullivan County when it comes to broadband. I think we'll start to see some of the early service being providing everything goes as we hope it will. It's kind of amazing when you think about 1 year out on pole permits and still no answer. So that is, there's the buzzword around the state, federal government, broadband. Frustrating part is the money may be awarded. Sometimes you gotta wait a long time to get the money. But sometimes the policies with the state or feds, but in this case, New York State, colleges don't line up with the money. Because money goes and it's just you wait. And it is frustrating. But the good thing is that the foundation has been laid. And we're very optimistic that 2024 we will start to see something happening here in the county. And our shop is doing some pilot programming right now out in the Kingston area at Sardi's. And we took a visit earlier last month out to see a little neighborhood in Sardi's where they were doing microchips. So that was nice to see it. And they're going to do a little pilot out there, provide service. So a lot of good things, but it's patience is they say patience is a virtue, and in this case it is. But it is exciting to have a company like Archstop, even though it's a startup. The people behind it are industry veterans, longtime industry veterans, and I think I speak for both of us. It's quite impressed with the quality of the people and their commitment, not just to the area, but Sullivan County specifically. So, Lauren, if you want to add anything.
No, nothing specific. I mean, there is a significant commitment to the 97 quarter from Hancock down. Hancock telephone being on the version itself, and then purchasing it. Sullivan County is at the core of their entire lower Hudson Valley plan, from the Hudson all the way up towards Binghamton, and we'll benefit from the fact that we're in the middle of it. So
I'm proud of the fact that we were the first county. Matter of fact, they mentioned that today, that when they first came to us, they kind of used the agreement that the county put in place with Archstop as when they've gone to Dutchess County, Ulster County, Greene County, and beyond. So it's neat to be on the ground floor of that. It's been exciting. And there's still some things we got to work through, Archstop and with us, the RFP and what have you, but we're in a very good place, and it's an exciting time in the county because now we'll have a infrastructure eventually here in place that's state of the art, and it's just, and it'll be a great place to be when that starts happening across the country. So I don't know if you have any questions, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Technology changes, this micro trenching, whatever they're putting in there, is that going to be good for more than 5 years?
Fiber, it's amazing. Just one glass that you could have a hard time just viewing. I don't know what the amount of conversations or connections, but it is phenomenal. Maybe but it's just this is future proofed for a long time in the future. It really is. And yeah, there's multiple conduits that are stacked on top of one another that will have fiber in and empty fiber for expansion. So all that's being done at the same time. So yeah.
How big are these poles that you're trying to get from?
What's electric poles? So the electric poles. So
So are there existing?
They're existing, and so anytime, and even the spectrums of the world have to do this, they want to go beyond their normal area. They do something called make ready. So they'll propose to build an area, and there's a study done on the poles they need to attach to. And if the spacing's not right or what have you, where it's an old pole, that's part of the cost. These companies have to go in, and that's part of the fight. Is like, look, some of these poles have been here for 50, 60 years, and now you want us to bear the cost of replacing them. So sometimes there's a little give and take on that stuff, how much it's actually going to cost the provider. But that obviously affects the return on investment when a company comes in and start doing it. So, but they're all existing poles, and they're just getting permission to go on them, and then what they need to do to modify the pole, or put something on.
I'm just wondering, what is the benefit of this, like, say, against something like Starlink, that, is already, I don't know, I really don't know.
Oh, it's huge.
Okay, yeah, no, there might, I don't know, is it more?
much speed,
Okay,
much greater speed. They're initially saying a gig to the house, which is Starlink can't touch that. And the cost would be under $100 a month. I remember my staff now, it's on fire, and it's always been around.
Yeah, I just, and would it be extended to some of the more remote, no, obviously 97, but some of the more remote parts of.
That was the plan,
Oh,
absolutely.
really?
And 100%, well, as close to 100% that you can physically make it available.
Okay,
After that, that's land fiber for the house.
okay,
Those areas that they can't from the physical standpoint, just because they cost effective sounds, that's where the wireless needs come in, and you can provide wireless service to those areas. Our goal and objective has always been on the.
right. Yeah, that's why I was just wanting to know the spectrum, you can call them. I didn't get internet at my house and, when my parents' house in Parksville until like 2015 or something.
And my staff member, when I started, was quoting $25,000 for them to.
They want you to pay for it, yeah.
For half a month.
Yeah.
So it's cost prohibitive.
Is it an objective of the county to, put like hotspots in more rural regions that don't have, Wi-Fi signals, mainly around the river, because we've had so many drownings in previous season, especially like during the pandemic. Like, is there a plan to sort of like put hotspots where people connect to Wi-Fi, to contact emergency services and things like that, since most phones do operate off of Wi-Fi?
So, yeah, the wireless that I'm talking about is a little different than the Wi-Fi you're used to in in your house or business. Certainly when the infrastructure is in place, there's things you could do if you wanted to light up an area. But the wireless we're talking about is basically with the equipment on the tower, the equipment at a home. And it's within roughly a 3.5 mile radius around the tower that the service will reach. And you're just receiving like you would off a TV antenna in the old days. The same type of principle. Yeah, and a modem in the house. And so it's not the typical Wi-Fi like you just walk down the street and they just have it. Those things could potentially be entertained once the infrastructure is in place, but that's a little ways down the road.
But it's highly possible.
Yes. The possibilities once you have the infrastructure in place, as I've said before here, it opens up so much to the area where you have that infrastructure in place and technology moves so fast. And that's part of it. When you get a grant where you're dealing with some of the bureaucracy, it is frustrating because technology moves so fast and things become dated really quick. And so that's always something that we'll be up against. I mean, we're up against it right now, quite frankly. I think it was really rare. How long ago was that? 4 years? Almost 4 years. And so equipment is definitely dated within that time.
But what's going in the ground is, to go back to your question about longevity. We've kind of got fiber run between buildings, through buildings, between all our stuff. That's been in place for 20 years. It's time for us to replace it because of the better quality. But the fiber will be able to still transmit. Yeah, well into the future. So that's number one. Number two, expectation of the project length. Everybody wants change overnight, and it's not an overnight project. Here we are a year later, and there's been a lot of movement in backrooms, if you will, conversations, planning, purchasing of infrastructure, equipment, fiber itself. Their storage yard up in Kingston was pretty impressive when you see how much they've already pre-purchased for installation. But it's a 5-year plus project to get everything covered throughout the entire county. So we're in for the long haul. Just so that everybody understands that we're getting there, but it's not gonna happen tomorrow. That's it.
I'm just curious, is there federal infrastructure money going into this project, or is it all local money?
Well, the EDA grant is federal. The one we
Okay.
have now, that's federal.
It is.
Yes. And most of it even is earmarked through the state, comes from federal sources. It's just the state is the arms for distribution. So,
And our shop, it's separate because what they're doing for us, for the county is, that's private equity, and the agreement we have is to try and leverage public-private partnership. So perhaps funding in the future that we could go after and hopefully get together because we're working together to try and reach certain areas and maybe build or what have you. So it is impressive with the money that our shop has got, it's just pure private equity to get done. And, so, and that in itself is quite a commitment, so, yeah, there really is a lot to, to look for. I've had the, I don't know if you want to call it pleasure, working with fiber optic cable in the past, and as Laura mentioned, I've worked on fiber that's been in the ground for 25, 30 years. Still works great. You put different equipment on the end of it that's more up to date, but it's amazing how resilient glass is. It's amazing medium. So, and
Since you started the project, has the technology improved? In other words, what initially you set out to use from an equipment standpoint to what eventually will be utilized? Have you seen an improvement?
there's been definite changes. I mean, the technology, yes, yes. Short answer is yes.
So the delay actually might facilitate a better system.
The short answer is yes. Yeah, no, it is, and that's part of the challenge. And, it's what we obviously we wanted it so, but it is patient, it's a multi-year project, so, I firmly believe when something crazy happens in 2024, we'll start to see some of this, transpire, and, so, and it'll be in my view, it'll be a great day, for the county when we start to see that, so, it's been a long journey thus far, and there's more to experience, but I having been involved since I walked in the door there 4 years ago. It is this is kind of the thing you really want to see is a private company come in, partner with the county to provide a solution like this, and I think that's and they've proven that's hard to be a very good partner.
Just one quick, where would you start within the county? Where's it say, start here?
So that's an art stop thing, how they're gonna do the architecture as far as the fiber goes. Obviously, that's one of the reasons they bought Hancock, they have Warren Valley, and Hancock was a very important acquisition for them. How they engineer their plant, but there's a lot of redundancy in it, and I don't know how they're gonna run it all, but the internet is just basically, it's a collection of, I call them point of presence, where they actually will go into a location and they actually hop onto a pipe, if you will, that goes to a bigger pipe down line. It just keeps going out. It's actually the internet itself is amazing. It's amazing.
But there must be a starting point somewhere, is there not? I mean, whether it's Middletown, whether it's Monticello or.
So because Hancock Telephone Company was the first major acquisition that our Shotfire made. And they know that they want their customer service hub to be in Kingston at the old IBM facility. And they leased the space there and they started setting up their call center, et cetera. They need a major communication line between Hancock and Kingston. So if I remember correctly, they were coming down into Narrowsburg, I believe, and then they were going to cut over towards Liberty. Down into Ulster County and then up 209 to Kingston. So that section is one of their first major lines to run. The other thing that we've been in conversation with them about is the desire and the need to provide fiber connections to all of our emergency service towers throughout the county, which would create a very large ring of fiber just connecting for public safety purposes. 911 would have a huge benefit to having fiber between towers. Just for speed of communication, they don't need to worry about line of sight between towers so that they can do the fire and emergency services calls. That then opens up with that ring around the county to the emergency services towers. It affords them the ability to then self-service off of that while they're providing it for a pseudo governmental commercial purpose. To self-service off that line or off that fiber to the residences of Womack, right, which expands there. So there's a lot that's going to happen. I've been doing this, Mike has been doing it since he walked in the door. I've been doing it since 2018. So it took us 5 years to get to this thing. All up to the bow. And we're about to hit the crest and start going down the other side. And it's right about where we are. So really, the start, to answer your question, is in the northern portion of the county. Narrowsburg North, Roscoe, that whole section across the north, heading down into Ulster. From there, with the emergency services towers, that'll allow them to go down the 17 quarter, all the way to Wordsboro, the Wordsboro Tower. The Tower Island, all the way, all 13 towers, for those that were here, and I'm sorry I didn't bring them out. For the presentation where we were talking about broadcasting off towers originally, that's what we were doing. So. Where do you start? It's, yeah, at the beginning. And wherever the beginning falls is where, but that's what makes sense to them from a business model standpoint, and it benefits us because they're here.
So if I understand the system right, it's kind of a hybrid system that you still have a node that transmits a wireless signal on a, I guess, dedicated frequency, and then to those who you serve, you supply antennas to receive. So in a way, it's kind of like a satellite system, except you're ground based.
Yes.
And you're able to achieve the speeds because of the proximity to the towers. So conceivably, couldn't you have remote modems, solar powered or whatever, to redistribute that on a Wi-Fi band? In other words, we just got out of a telecommunications subcommittee meeting that we're thrashing around ideas on how do we get emergency communications on the river, which probably 60% of the corridor is a dead zone. And you know, now that satellite technology is maybe affording texting and so forth, but cell service with cell towers becomes an issue because it was never provided for in the river management plan, so that becomes a stumbling block. But conceivably, if I heard you right, is a 3 mile range for the wireless. So could you utilize your system to broadcast out the 3 miles into the corridor where we have an increased frequency of Wi-Fi nodes? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud.
A couple of technical clarifications. That 3 to 5 mile radius is at a height of 150 to 200 feet off of one of our emergency services towers.
I see.
So when you're talking down lower along the corridor itself, I understand the challenges from, you know, visual standpoint and not being able to put up.
Yeah.
Once they run their fiber line down 97, the ability to tap off of that and have wireless access points along the way to be able to provide that communication that they're looking for is awesome. That goes back to the question exactly there. It's just gonna take time to get it.
Yeah,
Feasibly, a solution doesn't exist and it is coming, and I don't like the timeline.
yeah, well, I'm just asking if it's feasible.
It would be feasible, yes.
And the wireless we talk about is it's point to point. So, you know, transmitting, you know, an antenna on a tower, and you have a receiver at your house. Once you get to the house, then you can do what you normally do in the house. You can have your own wireless, you know, I think Archstock's model is, when the equipment is installed in the house, they're gonna install the equipment so they can manage it and cut down a trouble call and a whole 9 yards. So it's a neat management plan that they have going forward to do that. So I'm just trying to keep it with the electric, because
Well, that's our challenge with the Wi-Fi on our towers, specifically was this corridor along the river. It's because our towers are not in a location, but for plus the terrain, the Legion terrain is the biggest challenge, plus having the ability to broadcast the same.
How well are they capitalized? Because a lot of these startups, you know, go for a couple of years and then chapter 11, chapter 7.
No, they're funded by a major, and these folks out of Stamford, Connecticut, they do nothing but telecommunications, whether it be cell or fiber, et cetera, et cetera. They put 300 million into this project alone so far already, so they are very well capitalized. I don't believe that they would have invested in the.
Yeah.
Well, just because of the fiber that they purchased.
That's not-
that we got this, you don't spend $11 million, you know, so.
And buying a company state.
And buying a company.
And they're still,
So. Good question, but we're really confident. that it's what they're doing.
Because you see a lot of, like, I'll go with some of the executive bus companies, all of a sudden, oh, they're out here, and all of a sudden, you know.
I'm sorry,
you know, when we first met them.
yes, we're only for them, yes.
They're close to 50 right now, and they're looking close to 100, and that's gonna be the sweet spot for a while.
On the micro trenching, is that, can they use it on dirt and gravel roads the same as paved roads? Or,
See any reason why not?
Yeah, there's no reason not, yeah, it's just.
I know it's the same sub-material.
It's the same, yeah, it's going down to the same substrate when they do their trench.
Yeah.
The only thing they're doing in pavement is backfill that concrete.
Yeah.
So they would just backfill with, you know, if it was an item 4, I would assume they'd be doing the same thing.
Oh, they backfill the whole little trench?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna go ask, well, I was just wondering about how easy it was to repair, because I can see people trying to repair, do things to other utilities in the road and just chop right through it. It's hanging out
Yeah,
at
and
2
also,
feet
they're supposed to, there's a location wire that goes into the fiber, everybody's supposed to. It's supposed to.
If this cable gets hit, what was that? If this cable gets dug up and hit, is it gonna be able to be spliced back together?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And they do,
Because they-
they do. What Warren was saying, they do put a tracer file in,
Right.
and because that's. Yeah, put a tracer on, so they can find it, and that's what they do now, anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's
well,
fine.
311 before you do it.
You're supposed to.
Right.
Any more questions?
Just, Mike, is your role with Sullivan Broadband LDC dependent on your role as a legislator, or will that continue past the
Well,
first of the year?
well, there's a few things I just, because sometimes the LDC and the county get kind of rolled into one. And there's needs to be a distinction there, because our stops agreements with the county, not with the LDC. The LDC, when it was first created, our goal, because it was, our stop wasn't in the picture. We had a board, fantastic board, and it was all about wireless. There were some worries along the way because, you know, we wanted to be the catalyst that got something done. Right, because you hear about broadband all the time and nothing gets done. We want to be the catalyst to get it done. So, but all along the way, it's like, okay, how do we do this without being a direct competitor to the private sector? And that was a question we talked about a lot. But we got moving along, we wanted to get this started. And so actually the LDC's role, it's been very almost non-existent for the last year or so. Because of our shop coming into the picture. Our mission was to get access to high-speed broadband to as much of the county as possible, no matter how that happened. Whether it was our little, you know, the wireless that we were gonna, the road we were originally gonna go down, or if somebody came along, we talked about that. And literally, and here it is, somebody came into the picture, and I think it's fantastic, because fiber to the home is the latest greatest. Lauren mentioned one gig to the house, which is phenomenal for those of you who know speeds and bandwidth. But 10 gig, which is crazy, is just, it's a real simple. Yep, so there's a lot there, so. Look, I'm at the end of the month, that's it for me. I don't know what the future may or may not bring, but all I'll say, because I've been here a few times, I've always enjoyed covering it. You guys ask fantastic questions, and it's important to you, it's important to us. So there's a foundation that's now laid. There's a partner that we have that is fully engaged, and we're a long ways down the road. So there's been a lot accomplished. And, I think going forward, that there's a lot there to build on. So I think that is, that's where we're at now. So, I've done my piece thus far and it's been fantastic. And, working with Warren and others, it's been great. We got a chance to work with the Archdoc people. I mean, I've been in the business for over 30 years. Whether it's fiber, cable TV, satellite TV, fiber, I've been, so it's kind of neat when I got elected. It's like, boy, I feel like I won the lottery because this is really, I'm really confident. So, things fell in place nicely with the Archdoc. And the fact that the county, before it even got elected, decided to go down the road. And, so, look, we just want to be accountants, make something happen for the county. And we're well on our way to do that, so that is something I'm very proud of.
And for the future of the LDC, there is a benefit to it still continuing to exist. Because it can cut through some of the inherent politics that exist between local municipalities, state of New York, the Public Service Commission, et cetera, and trying to get, we talked about asking about influence. We're trying to help lobby for change to the regulations that exist at the state level. NISAC is a big tool that we might be able to utilize as well. I'm on the IT task force for NISAC. We have the ability to submit resolutions and try to get NISAC to push Albany into tracking the regulations some to make it a little bit easier for some of these projects like this. If they really want broadband, I mean, broadband's been the buzzword out of Washington forever. But I've kind of pseudo convinced myself that they really don't want to spend money. And we have a role to play at the LDC level to try to push without politics, get in the way of being. So our hope, there's ongoing background conversations. It's my hope that this works will continue if you so choose and stuff sometime in the future. No commitment.
We've had one of a really great visit to Archstop's headquarters a couple months ago. Senator Overacker met with us. And I think if you asked him today, how did that meeting with Archstop go? I know he shared with us a couple times. It was the most informative, one of the best meetings we've ever been in, because it was so enlightening to do challenges at the state level. So I'm hoping to use himself. There's State Senator Hinchey over in Ulster County that's been engaged a lot. There's Scoopus down in Orange County that they've also engaged. So that's another thing when you meet with them, the context that they have, it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing the context. So that will just help everybody in the end. So lots to look forward to. Just it's like I say, patience.
Not more involved than just bringing internet to the house. Insane.
Sounds like a wonderful progression,
Absolutely.
so we've been fortunate enough.
What's good smile?
Yeah, oh, and we've been fortunate enough to stay updated on it because seems like the yearly intervals worked out just right. To get updates, sometimes a watch spot, you get frustrated waiting for it to boil.
We're to have you similar.
Can't be bad. Especially when government's involved. Yeah. Well.
No, and thank you again, because like I said, I do mean it. Every time I come here, we ask great questions. It's wish actually we've done more because in other areas, because it is a big thing for Sullivan County. There's a lot to be excited for, a lot to smile about. It just takes time, and I don't know if we quite realized how much time it was gonna take, but the end result's gonna be great. So
I've been hearing, listening to, and watching these types of conversations regarding broadband since I'm gonna say just pre-2005, and it's a lot of hype and talk with no results in the end. When this finally presented itself in 2018, that was the goal and objective, was to see it through to the end and make sure that something better than what we currently have, better for us. Was there. There's need.
Aaron, does Nadia have something?
Oh, Nadia, you got a question?
No,
No,
okay, I
okay.
thought I saw a hand.
Lauren, it sounds like, 2005 is all hat, no cattle,
That's correct.
so you come tremendous,
I'm going.
yeah.
We should crescendo, or enough on sign acts.
Yeah.
And stuff what we can. So,
Well, we all wish you the best of luck.
thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.